Divorce is not the end, it's a doorway to rediscovering yourself. When a chapter in our lives closes, especially one as significant as marriage, it's easy to feel like everything is falling apart. It's natural to experience grief, confusion, and even a sense of failure. But the truth is, divorce does not define who you are. It reveals who you have the chance to become. It's not a label of brokenness, but a signal that a new journey is waiting for you, one where you get to meet yourself again in a deeper, more authentic way. When we enter relationships, especially marriage, we often pour so much of ourselves into making it work. We compromise, we adapt, we bend, and sometimes we lose pieces of who we are along the way. And while love and partnership can be beautiful, there are moments when it can also blur our own identity. Divorce, though painful, is the space that allows those blurred lines to sharpen again. It's an opportunity to stand still, reflect, and ask, who am I outside of this relationship? What dreams did I put on hold? What passions have I neglected? What parts of myself have I silenced for the sake of harmony? Rediscovery doesn't happen overnight. It begins quietly, often in the moments when the silence feels heavy or when the loneliness seems unbearable. But in those moments, there is also a gift, the gift of listening to yourself without distraction. You start to hear your own voice again. You begin to notice what truly lights you up, what brings you peace, and what excites your heart. Slowly, the pieces of you that were once forgotten start to come alive again. This doorway is not just about healing from what was lost, but about reconnecting with the version of yourself that has been waiting patiently to be seen. Maybe it's the creative side of you that always wanted to paint, write, or build something new. Maybe it's the adventurous side of you that longed to travel, to learn, to explore without limits. Or maybe it's simply the peaceful side of you that craves balance, simplicity, and genuine joy. Divorce, painful as it may be, clears the space for these parts of you to finally come forward. And yes, there will be days when you question everything. There will be moments when the weight feels too heavy, when you wonder if you made the right choice or if happiness will ever return. But I want you to remember this. The end of something familiar does not mean the end of your story. It is the start of a new chapter, one where you are the author, the creator, and the main character of your life again. Rediscovering yourself also means learning to trust yourself again. After divorce, many people struggle with doubt. Doubt about their worth, their choices, or their future. But each step you take toward rebuilding your life is proof of your resilience. Every time you wake up and choose to keep going, every time you face the loneliness with courage, every time you try something new, you are rewriting the narrative. You are showing yourself that you are stronger than you ever realized. And as you rediscover yourself, something else happens. You begin to redefine love. Not just love for others, but love for yourself. You learn that love is not about losing yourself to keep someone else happy. It's about growing, nurturing, and honoring who you are. That kind of self-love becomes the foundation for every relationship you will build moving forward, including the one you may choose to have with a partner in the future. So let me remind you again, divorce is not the end. It is the doorway to rediscovering the parts of you that were hidden, the dreams that were buried, and the strength that was always within you. This is your chance to step into the fullness of who you are meant to be, to honor your own voice, and to create a life that feels true to your soul. This is not where your story ends. This is where it truly begins. Pain can become the fuel that shapes strength and resilience. At first, it doesn't feel that way. When heartbreak strikes and life feels like it's been torn apart, the pain can feel unbearable. It's heavy, it's raw, and it sits inside you like a weight you don't know how to carry. But pain, as overwhelming as it may be, is not just a sign of loss. It's also a sign of life. It's proof that you cared deeply, that you invested fully, that you loved with everything you had. And while it hurts, it also holds the power to transform you in ways you may not see in the moment. Think about it this way. Pain is energy. It can either consume you or it can drive you. It can either break you down or it can build you up. The difference lies in what you choose to do with it. Many of the strongest people you've ever met, the ones who seem unshakable and full of wisdom, didn't get there without scars. They became who they are because they allowed their pain to shape them, not destroy them. They took the hurt, the disappointments, and the heartbreak, and they turned them into lessons, into strength, into resilience. When you are in the middle of it, though, it's hard to see any purpose behind the suffering. All you want is for it to stop, and yet, it is in those very moments that your resilience is being built. Every tear you cry, every night you spend wondering if you'll ever feel whole again, every time you push yourself to get up when it feels easier to stay down, you are growing. You are strengthening muscles within your spirit that you didn't even know you had. Resilience is not something you're simply born with. It's something forged in the fire of hardship. Pain teaches you things comfort never could. It shows you how deeply you can endure. It reveals your capacity for patience, compassion, and inner strength. It forces you to confront parts of yourself you might have avoided before, the insecurities, the fears, the doubts. And in facing them, you gain clarity. You begin to see that while pain is a teacher you never asked for, it is also one of the most powerful ones you'll ever have. There comes a turning point, often a quiet one, when you realize that your pain is not just holding you back. It can actually propel you forward. Maybe it pushes you to finally pursue the dreams you put aside. Maybe it drives you to take better care of yourself, to prioritize your happiness, to set boundaries you never dared to before. Maybe it gives you a sense of empathy and understanding that makes you stronger in your relationships and kinder to those around you. Pain, when channeled, becomes the very fuel that lights the fire of your transformation. And as you continue to grow through it, resilience becomes second nature. You start to notice that situations that once would have broken you no longer carry the same power. You've been through darkness and survived, and that knowledge changes everything. It makes you braver, more grounded, more capable of facing whatever comes next. Because once you've endured the storm, the rain doesn't scare you anymore. What's remarkable is that resilience born from pain doesn't just make you stronger. It makes you softer in the best ways. You develop compassion for yourself and for others. You learn to appreciate the small joys, the simple moments of peace, the beauty of connection. Pain humbles you, but it also elevates you, teaching you that strength is not about never falling. It's about rising again and again, no matter how many times life tries to knock you down. So while it may not feel like it right now, every ounce of pain you are carrying has the potential to be transformed. It can become the foundation for your strength, the source of your courage, and the spark that pushes you to rebuild your life with more wisdom and intention. It is not the end of you. It is the beginning of the strongest, most resilient version of you. Your pain is not your weakness. Your pain is your power. Healing is a journey of self-love, forgiveness, and growth. It's not a straight line, and it's not something that can be rushed. After divorce or after any heartbreak, it's tempting to want to skip the process and just feel better instantly. We want to erase the pain, silence the memories, and pretend that moving forward is as simple as deciding to. But real healing doesn't work like that. It unfolds slowly, sometimes painfully, but always with purpose. It's a journey that asks you to turn inward, to care for yourself in ways you may have neglected before, and to honor the lessons that come with the pain. At the heart of healing is self-love. It begins with the simple but profound act of choosing yourself. After giving so much of your heart, your time, and your energy to a relationship that no longer exists, you are left with a space that feels empty. But that space isn't emptiness, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to fill your life with love that starts within you. Self-love isn't just about treating yourself kindly, though that's part of it. It's about seeing yourself clearly, flaws and all, and deciding you are worthy of care, respect, and compassion. It's choosing to speak to yourself with the same tenderness you would offer to someone you love deeply. It's replacing harsh self-criticism with understanding and shame with grace. Alongside self-love comes forgiveness, and this is often the most difficult part of the journey. Forgiveness isn't about condoning what happened or excusing the pain you endured. It's about releasing yourself from the chains of bitterness and resentment. Holding on to anger might feel powerful at first, but over time, it only drains you and keeps you tied to the past. Forgiveness is for you. It's the gift you give yourself so that you can finally be free. It means forgiving the other person not because they necessarily deserve it, but because you deserve peace. And equally important, it means forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for the mistakes you made, for the times you stayed too long, for the ways you may have ignored your own needs. Healing cannot fully happen until you stop punishing yourself for being human. As self, love, and forgiveness take root, growth naturally follows. Growth is the blossoming that happens when you've watered the soil of your soul with patience and compassion. Growth is the moment you realize you can smile again, genuinely. It's when you notice that the pain no longer controls your every thought. It's when you start to dream again, to envision a future that excites you, to try things you never had the courage to before. Growth is not about becoming someone entirely new. It's about returning to yourself, but stronger, wiser, and more whole. Healing requires patience because it's layered. Some days you'll feel like you've moved forward, only to be pulled back by a memory or a wave of sadness. That's normal. Healing isn't about erasing the past, it's about integrating it into your story in a way that no longer hurts to carry. Every step, even the setbacks, is part of the process. And the beautiful thing is, the more you lean into the journey, the more you realize that healing isn't just about recovering from the past, it's about preparing for the future. It equips you with strength, wisdom, and compassion that you carry into every new chapter of your life. What makes this journey so powerful is that it teaches you to trust yourself again. It teaches you that you can survive heartbreak, that you can rebuild, and that you can find peace within your own heart. And when you reach that place of peace, love becomes possible again. Love that is deeper, wiser, and healthier because it's built on a foundation of self, love, and forgiveness. So remember, healing is not a destination you arrive at one day and declare yourself done. It's a lifelong journey, one that transforms you from the inside out. It's the path where love blossoms, forgiveness frees you, and growth elevates you into the person you were always meant to become. Healing is not about going back to who you were before. It's about becoming someone even stronger, even kinder, and even more alive than you ever imagined. Every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. In the moment, endings feel final. They feel like a door slammed shut, a chapter torn from the book, or a light switched off in a room you once knew so well. The pain of loss, the silence that follows, and the uncertainty of what comes next can make you believe that everything is over. But endings, as painful as they may be, are not the conclusion of your story. They are the soil in which something new can grow. Hidden within every ending is the possibility of a fresh start, one that you might not yet be able to see, but one that is waiting to take shape. Think about nature. When autumn comes and the leaves fall, it looks like everything is dying. The trees are bare, the air is cold, and it seems like life has drained away. But what we don't always notice is that underneath the surface, the soil is preparing for renewal. The fallen leaves enrich the ground, the roots dig deeper, and when spring comes, life bursts forth with colors brighter than before. Our lives work the same way. What feels like the end is often just a season that clears space for what's meant to come next. The end of a marriage, a relationship, or a life chapter may feel like a collapse, but it is also an invitation. It invites you to ask questions you might never have asked otherwise. What do I truly want now? What kind of life do I want to build for myself? Who do I want to become moving forward? These questions are the seeds planted by endings. They take root in the silence, in the spaces where you feel most lost, and they eventually grow into answers that guide you toward your new beginning. Endings strip us of comfort. And while that feels cruel, it also makes room for clarity. When everything familiar falls away, you see what's left: your resilience, your inner strength, your true desires. And from that place, you are able to rebuild, not out of obligation or routine, but out of choice. A choice to create a life that reflects who you are now, not who you used to be. That is the beauty of beginnings born from endings. They carry the wisdom of what has been, but they're not bound by it. The seed of a new beginning doesn't always show itself right away. Sometimes it's hidden beneath grief, loneliness, or fear. It's easy to overlook it because it doesn't announce itself with certainty. It starts small: an idea, a spark of curiosity, a desire to try something different. Maybe it's the thought of exploring a new hobby, or the courage to take a step toward a dream you had set aside. Over time, those small sparks grow stronger, and before you know it, the seed that was buried in the soil of your ending begins to break through, showing you that life still has more to give. It's important to remember that beginnings don't erase the endings that came before them. They don't deny the pain, nor do they ask you to forget it. Instead, they honor it. They say, yes, this chapter closed. Yes, it hurt. But from this closing came the strength, the wisdom, and the space for something new. That's the cycle of lie, floss and renewal, endings and beginnings, heartbreak and hope. When you embrace this truth, you stop fearing endings. You begin to see them not as failures, but as transitions. You start to trust that no matter what falls away, something new is always possible, and that mindset transforms everything. It turns despair into hope, pain into purpose, and endings into stepping stones toward a future that is brighter and more aligned with your soul. So if you find yourself standing in the aftermath of an ending, don't let the silence fool you. Don't mistake the darkness for emptiness. There is a seed planted there, waiting for its moment to grow. You may not see it yet, but it is there, quietly gathering strength. And when the time is right, it will rise, and it will remind you that life always continues, always renews, always offers another chance to begin again. Every ending carries within it not just loss, but possibility. It carries within it the promise that your story is far from over. It carries the seed of your new beginning. Love after loss is deeper, wiser, and more intentional. When you have walked through heartbreak, when you've felt the weight of disappointment and the ache of something ending, you don't step into love the same way again. You no longer see love as just a fairy tale or an effortless flow of emotion. You come to understand that love is both fragile and sacred. And because of that, the love you open your heart to after loss carries a depth and meaning that it never could have before. When you've experienced loss, you begin to realize how valuable love truly is. You don't take it for granted. You understand that it isn't something to enter into blindly, but something to nurture, honor, and respect. The pain of loss teaches you that love is not about holding onto someone at any cost, but about building a connection rooted in honesty, respect, and growth. It shifts your perspective. You no longer crave love that simply fills a void. You long for love that adds value to your life, love that feels purposeful, love that supports your growth as much as it supports your heart. Loss has a way of sharpening your awareness. It makes you more mindful, more intentional about who and what you allow into your life. You learn to recognize the difference between loneliness and genuine connection. You stop chasing love to fix you or complete you, because you've already done the work of healing and rediscovering yourself. Instead, you begin to choose love from a place of fullness, from a place of strength. And that kind of love is richer because it comes not from need, but from choice. When you love after loss, you love with wisdom. You've learned what doesn't work, what wounds can come from ignoring red flags, what happens when you lose yourself trying to hold something together. You carry those lessons with you, not as bitterness, but as clarity. That clarity helps you build stronger foundations in the future. It guides you to communicate better, to set boundaries, to respect your own needs while respecting the needs of the other person. Love after loss becomes less about perfection and more about truth. It's not about finding someone who never makes mistakes, but about finding someone willing to grow with you, to meet you with honesty, and to walk beside you through both the light and the dark. There's also a deeper tenderness in love after loss. Because you know what it feels like to hurt, you become more gentle, more compassionate. You understand the fragility of another person's heart, and you treat it with care. At the same time, you don't give your love recklessly. You give it intentionally, knowing its weight, its power, and its beauty. You begin to love with both your heart and your wisdom, creating a balance that makes your relationships stronger and more meaningful. And perhaps one of the most beautiful things about love after loss is that it carries gratitude. When you've known pain, joy feels brighter. When you've sat with loneliness, companionship feels warmer. When you've rebuilt yourself from the ground up, the presence of someone who truly values and supports you feels like a gift, not an entitlement. Gratitude weaves itself into every gesture, every moment, making love more precious than it ever was before. This love isn't rushed, it isn't careless, it doesn't settle for good enough. It waits for what feels true, for what aligns with the person you've become through your journey. And when it arrives, it doesn't try to erase your past or pretend it never happened. Instead, it embraces it, acknowledging that the very pain you went through shaped the heart that is now capable of loving with such depth and strength. So love after loss is not weaker or smaller. It is stronger, wiser, and more intentional. It is a love that understands both the beauty and the cost, and chooses to embrace it anyway. It is the kind of love that grows from experience, from healing, and from courage. It is proof that even after heartbreak, even after endings, your heart is still capable of opening again, and this time, opening in a way that honors everything you've learned. Love after loss is not just love. It is love transformed, love that carries wisdom, gratitude, and purpose. It is love that reminds you that your heart, no matter how many times it has been broken, is still capable of extraordinary things. You have the power to create a life filled with joy, peace, and new love. Sometimes, after loss or heartbreak, it doesn't feel that way. It can feel like life has been written for you, like circumstances are in control, and you're left picking up the pieces of a story you never asked for. But the truth is, no matter what has ended, no matter what pain you've walked through, the pen is still in your hand. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. Within you is the ability to design a life that reflects who you are now and what you truly want moving forward. Creating a life of joy doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It doesn't mean denying the struggle or forcing yourself to smile through the ache. Joy is not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing to see possibility in spite of it. Joy comes from the little things at first. Waking up and being grateful for another day. Noticing the beauty in a sunrise, laughing with a friend, or simply allowing yourself to breathe without judgment. These small sparks, when nurtured, grow into a flame, and over time, joy becomes less of a fleeting feeling and more of a steady presence in your life. It becomes something you cultivate, something you protect, something you know how to return to even when challenges arise. Peace is another choice you hold the power to create. And peace doesn't come from everything around you being perfect. It comes from everything within you being aligned. It's the calm you feel when you stop fighting battles that aren't yours to fight. It's the relief that comes when you let go of what you cannot control and focus instead on what you can. Peace is born when you forgive, not because the past didn't hurt, but because you no longer want to carry the weight of it. It's when you finally release the need to prove anything to anyone, and instead, you allow yourself to simply be. Creating a life of peace means setting boundaries that protect your heart, surrounding yourself with people who bring calm instead of chaos, and choosing environments where your soul feels safe. And then there is love, new love, deeper love, intentional love. But here's the secret, it begins with you. When you decide to create a life filled with love, you first choose to love yourself. You choose to treat yourself with compassion, to speak to yourself with kindness, to honor your worth every single day. That self-love radiates outward, shaping the way others treat you, and the kind of relationships you welcome into your life. It ensures that when new love arrives, it is not a desperate attempt to fill a void, but a beautiful addition to the wholeness you've already built within yourself. Love in this new chapter will feel different because you are different. You've grown, you've healed, you've discovered your strength. You no longer seek love just to be held. You seek love that uplifts, that grows alongside you, that respects the person you've become. And when you allow love in after rebuilding yourself, it becomes more intentional, more meaningful, and more aligned with the life you are consciously creating. This power, the power to create joy, peace, and love, is not something you have to earn. It is already yours. It lives in the choices you make every day. Do you choose to dwell on what was lost, or to focus on what can be gained? Do you choose to hold onto anger, or to let forgiveness free you? Do you choose to let fear keep you still, or to step forward with courage, even if the path is uncertain? Each choice, no matter how small, shapes the life you are building. And when those choices are guided by self, love, by hope, and by a belief in your own strength, they lead you toward a life that is rich with joy, grounded in peace, and open to love. So don't underestimate yourself. You are not at the mercy of your past. You are the creator of your future. And the life you long for, the one filled with laughter, serenity, and love, is not a distant dream. It's something you can begin to create right here, right now, with the choices you make today. You have the power to create a life filled with joy, peace, and new love. Your past may have ended, but it has not ended you. Every moment of pain, healing, and growth is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and ready for a love and life that truly reflect your worth. This is not your ending. It is your beautiful new beginning.